Where did everything go wrong with Kody Brown? For years, Sister Wives fans saw the Browns dance the fine line of plural marriage, massive homes, and the ever-present glare of reality television. We laughed at their shenanigans, winced at the fights, and marveled, or occasionally, sympathized with, the compromises the wives made. But off-camera, a tempest was building. A court ruling, released this week, has rocked the world of Sister Wives, Kody Brown's Flagstaff mansion, a residence that has long represented his patriarchal dominance and fiscal control, has been sold under an involuntary court mandate. This is not a sale of a willing decision or even an easy fiscal mistake. This is the culmination of years of courtroom combat, backroom financial transactions, and family breakdowns covered up in plain sight. Picture this, viewing a family fight on television over money issues, aware now that the very man who is brokering these fights might have been staging them for profit. The mansion, once a bulwark of his power and influence, has become the ultimate emblem of his downfall. But how did it get to this point? And what does this mean for the future of the Browns, the Wives, and the empire that Kody built on control and secrecy? In the coming story, we'll peel back the layers, expose the legal maneuvers, reveal the shocking testimonies, and follow every twist as the courtroom drama unfolds. Each dollar, each choice, each betrayal, everything counts in this story. And don't think for a second, this is far from the end. The deeper we go, the more you'll see the domino effect of this forced sale on Robyn, on Kody, on Mary, Christine, Janelle, and the whole Brown clan. The fallouts are already changing the dynamics fans believe they knew. So hold on tight. What you are about to hear is not only reality television drama. It is an actual saga of power, deceit, and the ultimate accounting to comprehend the forced sale of Kody Brown's mansion. We need to step back several years. Behind the scenes of the family's on-screen fights regarding who did what and who owned which property. There were discrepancies in finance that could only be untangled by a court. It began with Mary Brown, Kody's first wife, and quietly started asking questions about the financial choices in the household. It gradually grew more explosive. Questions regarding mortgage payments, mysterious transfers, and the use of family money were dodged. Or at least that was what Kody led everyone to think. But in fact, as detailed by exhaustive legal discovery, Kody's use of the family estate was not only negligent, it was almost manipulative. Court documents indicate that Kody's use of the family estate was not only negligent, but almost manipulative. All spending, all property choices, and all signatures on financial documents were called into question. The legal documents weren't available publicly until recently, but when they were, it became apparent how big this was. The court disclosed secret debt, fraudulent claims of ownership, and transactions that couldn't be explained and were directly linked to Kody's name. The mansion, a beautiful estate once thought beyond reach, was suddenly the focal point of a legal game of chess that Kody was unable to win. At the same time, Robyn Brown, Kody's fourth wife, was caught in a vulnerable situation. She was not specifically accused of anything untoward, but was swept up into the web of law because she was a part of Kody and the property. Her responses in court described as running the gamut from frustration to shock, threw gasoline on an already fiery situation. This wasn't your average lawsuit. The court's investigation was meticulous, peeling back layers of financial mismanagement previously out of sight to fans. And with each new discovery, the pressure increased, not legally alone, but emotionally for every Brown family member. The drama was in place. The legal foundation for the forced sale of the mansion was in place, and drama was soon to reach a climax no one, least of all Kody, was expecting. The courtroom was charged from the opening of proceedings. There were no cameras in the trial, but courtroom tension was likened to an electric atmosphere. Family members, friends, and lawyers alike sat and observed as testimony started coming in, each one more telling than the previous one. Mary Brown's testimony set the stage, quiet but assertive. She laid out a timeline of money choices, highlighting inconsistencies and unexplained deposits. With each piece of information she gave, it seemed to describe a pattern of Kody in charge of the finances that left no question remaining. Then Robyn Brown, although she was not the main target, her testimony was pivotal in cross-examination. She disclosed communication with Kody on matters of property choices, payments, and agreements. there were some startling statements that contradicted earlier assertions made on television and in family interviews. The courtroom whispered. This was no longer a family feud, this was a legal tempest revealing secrets. The game changer, however, was someone one would least expect, the family's accountant. With documents, bank statements, and ledgers in hand, the accountant took the stand to describe large amounts of money being moved around in ways that could not be explained. The evidence was, in a word, overwhelming. Court observers who followed the testimony said that this testimony alone could compel a court-ordered sale of the mansion. Kody's response was evident to all around. He was defensive, sometimes visibly agitated, as he attempted to refute the accumulating evidence. But as every witness gave their testimony, it became apparent. The court wasn't hearing merely family disputes. It was examining a minute accounting of financial mismanagement. For the public, it was a cliffhanger moment. Viewers of the show had long wondered how Kody managed family finances, but to see the court's painstaking examination opened eyes to a reality far removed from reality television soap. The stakes were no longer theoretical. They were real, quantifiable, and directly aimed at the mansion as a principal asset in jeopardy. With the closing of the testimonies, the judge indicated a recess. The next hearing, legal observers surmised, could determine if Kody would be able to keep the mansion or be subjected to forced sale. The tensions reached a boiling point, both within the courtroom and amongst the spectators. Following the break in the courtroom, insiders disclosed that Kody Brown was visibly agitated off-record. Although he had previously endured media interrogation, the force of the testimonies in the courtroom, and what was at stake regarding the accountant's evidence, battered him harder than anticipated. Family sources observed that his characteristic calm disposition was being substituted by frustration and desperation, indicating the mansion, the family's symbol of stability, could indeed be in peril. In the meantime, Mary Brown and other members of the family were said to be processing the developing drama differently. Some were worried about the emotional effect on the children, while others were concerned about the financial implications. The house wasn't simply a residence. It was years of investments, family history, and public persona. To lose it would be a financial and symbolic loss. Kody attempted to brainstorm. Legal counsel meetings and family gatherings were chaotic. He questioned previous choices and pored over paperwork over and over again, hoping to discover some sort of legal loophole that could stall the sale. Still, each review seemed to solidify what the court evidence indicated. The mansion was legally exposed to risk. Public scrutiny was heating up. Social media fans analyzed each courtroom report, wondering what Kody would do next. Some came to his defense, positing the evidence might be misconstrued, while others predicted the forced sale was inevitable. The publicity placed another level of pressure on Kody's personal and family issues, making them public affairs. Meanwhile, the remaining family members, Robyn and Mary included, had to cope with their relationships with Kody. As much as there were past differences on money, the threat to the mansion also increased underlying tensions. Private conversations reportedly turned into heated debates over responsibility, loyalty, and the future of family assets. Kody's reaction was a mix of defiance and desperation, while Mari's calm yet firm stance suggested that the family might not unanimously side with him if the court decision went against him. This split created the backdrop for more drama, both within the home and in the public sphere, as the destiny of the mansion became the focus of a family drama acted out on a national stage. As the courtroom resumed, Kody Brown's lawyers tried to launch a last-ditch defense. Their tactic was to argue that certain financial deals were mischaracterized or misrepresented by the other side. But the proof the judge produced, most notably accounting ledgers, bank statements, and extensive transaction records, left very little to the imagination. Perhaps most eye-popping was the time the court unveiled how a series of large money transfers originally believed to be presents to family members were actually recorded as personal incomes. The news sent a ripple of incredulity through onlookers. Even the most ardent backers of Kody in court were witnessed sharing anxious looks, indicating that the defense was crumbling under the weight of itself. Mary Brown and other members of the family sat silently, observing events unfold. Her face, however, stayed stoic, but the insiders would later disclose that she was mentally preparing for a post-sale life, realizing the mansion was not merely a structure, but a symbol of power and domination in the family. Robyn's presence was different. Sources say she looked visibly stressed, whispering non-stop with her advisors, perhaps realizing the court evidence would question her position in the family finances. There was an atmosphere of tension in the court, with rumors spreading that the mansion was going to be sold. The judge's remarks during the proceeding were sharp, bringing into focus differences in accounting statements and doubting the integrity of some of the witnesses. The court wanted it made clear that the destiny of the mansion was no longer a question of money, but of legal culpability. Every piece of evidence presented reinforced the argument for a forced sale, making Kody's defense appear increasingly desperate. Media coverage outside the courtroom amplified the intensity. Fans and critics alike debated Kody's actions and speculated on how the family would adapt. Social media exploded with hashtags about the mansion and the legal fight unfolding, keeping everyone's eyes fixed on the drama in progress. By nightfall, it was clear the defense was crumbling, and the forced sale of the mansion was no longer a remote chance. It was a very real possibility. Kody's response, a combination of overt frustration and covert scheming, suggested that he would try other measures to stall or negotiate the sale, even as the court moved strongly in the direction of enforcing the judgment. The courtroom melodrama didn't remain contained within the doors of justice. It overflowed into the Brown family dynamics in a very public manner. As the truth of the forced sale of the mansion hit home, feelings ran high, and years of pent-up tensions started to emerge. Mari Brown, usually the quiet spectator in family conflicts, displayed an uncommon blend of relief and resolve. Sources said she felt vindicated, believing Kody's spending had disproportionately placed the load on her and the other wives. In a calm demeanor, Mari was secretly planning how she could ensure her family's economic security after the mansion was formally removed from the market. Robyn, however, was clearly distraught. Insiders from the family reported that she had a hard time keeping composure, tending to become defensive when asked about her participation in the financial management. Her hushed conversations with lawyers implied that she was frantically searching for last-minute legal strategies, but it was obvious that the court's evidence had her backed into a corner. Kody Brown's response was a tangled combination of frustration, incredulity, and rage. As eyewitnesses describe, he slammed his fists during closed-door meetings and walked the courthouse halls during recesses, palpably grappling with the reality that the mansion, a testament to his power, was slipping away. For Kody, the sale meant not only a monetary loss, but a deeper loss of family dominance and public image. The children of the family also felt the gravity of the moment. Although their names were not formally included in the court papers, sources said discussions of future living situations, emotional support, and the family's public image became pressing issues among the adults. This made an already dramatic situation even more complicated. At the same time, social media chatter heightened the emotional stakes. Fans argued everything from Kody's management style to Robyn's supposed control over family finances. Videos of the courtroom testimony, shared by news organizations and fan sites, were going viral just moments after being made public, continuing to put pressure on the family to answer back publicly. On the final day of the proceedings, it became evident that this was not just a matter of money. It was a family comeuppance. The coercive sale wasn't merely a technical consequence. It was a milestone that might recast the nature of relationships, shape the course of alliances, and decide the way the Brown family would continue to live in the public sphere. The tension within the courtroom was practically palpable as the hearing continued. The lawyers from both sides made their final submissions, and the judge's demeanor implied the ruling would not be in favor of Kody. Legal commentators afterwards termed the proceedings as a masterclass in courtroom drama, where each word was picked apart by the public and streamed online for fans clamoring for every morsel of information. Kody Brown testified again, visibly attempting to justify his previous actions. His voice shook at times, betraying the anxiety of testifying before not just the court, but also the searing media scrutiny by fans and detractors. Kody contended the mansion was a family resource intended to be shared by all the wives equally. But cross-examination revealed inconsistencies in financial documents, with some investments and expenditures disproportionately impacting Mari and the other wives. Robyn's attorneys tried a last-ditch appeal, playing up her mothering role and desire to keep the family stable, but the judge was not swayed. Evidence seen from bank statements, property valuations, and testimony by eyewitnesses left a picture of plain financial mismanagement, with little other option for the judge to make except to decide emphatically. Mari Brown observed in silence, her demeanor unbroken. Reports refer to a triumphant yet subtle smile as the judge read through the documents. Her confidence appeared to be based on the belief that justice was finally being meted out, and that her financial security, together with that of her co-wives, would at last be acknowledged in a court ruling. The dramatic moment arrived when the judge leaned forward and announced the verdict. The words rang out through the courtroom. The mansion was to be sold forthwith, and the funds be distributed as ordered by the court. The courtroom grew quiet, and Kody's bid to interrupt was politely but firmly rebuffed. For some, it was a moment of history in the drama of the Brown family, a turning point that would determine relationships, finances, and the family's public image for years to come. Outside the courthouse, television crews recorded the response of passers-by and family members alike. Fans and observers used social media to analyze every look and reaction. Kody's frustration, Robyn's anxiety, and Mari's quiet satisfaction became instant talking points, fueling debates and discussions across platforms. As the courtroom emptied, it became clear that the Brown family was entering a new chapter, one where old power dynamics were disrupted, and every decision would be closely watched. With the judge's ruling finalized, attention immediately shifted to the financial aftermath. The mansion, valued at several $1 million, would now be sold under court supervision. Analysts predict that the proceeds, after debts and liens, would be distributed among Kody, Robyn, Mari, and the other wives according to the court's specifications. Kody's legal team scrambled to calculate the exact impact of the sale. Sources within the family say that the compulsory liquidation would not only eradicate Kody's stake in the property, but also reveal previously unknown financial liabilities. Bills, loans, and assorted family expenses that Kody had sought to keep secret were now entirely revealed in the court files, leaving both fans and financial analysts aghast. Mari Brown, who had for years complained about transparency and equity, was said to have felt vindicated. Her keen eye on domestic affairs and investment made her have a clear picture of the mismanagement. In her private circle, she was both relieved and apprehensive, but admitted that the sale would guarantee her share but upset family routines. The other wives reacted differently. Some were said to be worried about where they would reside next, while others dwelt on the prospect of financial stability following years of quarrels. Robyn specifically was in a tough spot. She had struggled for years to keep the family fortune in her children's hands, and now, with the sale of the mansion becoming a certainty, she would need to contend with a new financial situation. A financial advisor tracking the case noted that the sale would have potential ripple effects extending beyond the Brown family. The public humiliation of mismanaged finances and the court's overreaching tactics may affect similar family and reality television conflicts in the future. Analysts inferred that Kody's case is a lesson to families trying to balance private wealth management and public visibility in reality shows. Social media fans quickly analyzed every detail of the decision. There were sympathy sentiments for Kody, but some fans also gave kudos to Mari for being persistent. Memes, opinion threads, and live discussions became a 24-hour commentary cycle, reinforcing the spectacle of the legal battle. Every glance, statement, and reaction became a viral talking point, amplifying the story far beyond the courtroom walls. The financial fallout also forced the family to reconsider their public image. With the forced sale now a certainty, family members had to plan announcements, social media statements, and interviews carefully. Experts said that mismanagement of public relations could further hurt them, making their personal squabbles into generic public relations nightmares. By the end of this phase, one thing was definite: the coerced sale of the mansion was not just a money transaction. It was a moment of change in power, control, and public opinion for the Brown family, a time that would redefine personal relationships and priorities in the future. After the courtroom reveal, Kody Brown's response was swift and vociferous. Witnesses described him as visibly shaken, pacing outside the courthouse prior to speaking with the press. His early words were shock and denial, as though the size of the forced sale was still sinking in. Kody's first official remark highlighted his opposition to the decision. "We feel this decision doesn't reflect the full truth," he said to the press. "Our family has always been about staying together, and this decision breaks that." People observed a defensive tone, implying Kody's irritation wasn't only about losing the mansion, but also losing control of family assets. Sources say behind closed doors, Kody met with his lawyers to discuss possible appeals. Though the court order stood for the moment, he attempted every route to stall the sale, from negotiating short-term stays and reconsideration of certain financial allocations. Still, the mood among legal analysts was unmistakable. Kody had a tough fight against the enforcement of the ruling by the court. Fans and social media commentators quickly analyzed Kody's actions. Others regarded his defiance as stubborn leadership, others as a refusal to take responsibility. Memes of Kody looking shocked went viral, underscoring the cultural interest in reality television personalities in legal controversy. Each facial expression, hand movement, and utterance was food for discussion and speculation. Mari Brown, who witnessed Kody's reaction, was said to have remained unruffled. She had expected this result and had concentrated on getting her family ready for the changeover. Her calm answer stood in stark contrast to Kody's public frustration, highlighting the conflict between the family's public image and internal dynamics. Robyn, on the other hand, seemed torn. Sources say she was torn between standing up for her husband and dealing with her own financial worries for her kids. Her response, while quieter, exposed the intricate emotional and practical challenges of pursuing a forced sale and still being a family intact. Legal commentators analyzing Kody's reaction pointed to the one usual thread in high-profile situations. Emotional responses tend to make things difficult in strategic planning. Kody's out in the open frustration, along with public remarks, might shape negotiations, court attitudes, and popular opinion, all of which were key considerations as the sale process went forward. Kody's response ultimately highlighted the human aspect of this legal fight. Beyond property and money, the decision hit at matters of pride, domination, and individual identity. As the Brown family prepared to execute the court's order, Kody's struggle became a focal point for fans, analysts, and reality television enthusiasts alike. With the court's ruling finalized, the next step was the execution of the mansion sale. Court-appointed officials began coordinating the process, ensuring that every legal requirement was met. This involved the employment of licensed appraisers to establish the market value of the property and specifying a deadline for the listing of the mansion. Sources near the case confirmed that the sale would be conducted under close monitoring, with the court overseeing every detail to avoid delays or disputes. The Browns had to give total access to the house for inspection, appraisal, and showings, a fact that most insiders painted as a public and painful expose of their personal life. Moving property experts who analyzed the scenario pointed out that Kody Brown's mansion, with its large estate and upscale amenities, was likely to find high-end buyers in no time. But the special situation involved in the sale, a court-imposed decision, introduced a complication. Buyers would know that the sale was part of a legal battle, affecting negotiations and sale prices at settlement. Fans on the internet argued about whether the mansion would sell for its purported market value or whether the legal leverage would cause a lower sale price. Social media commentary broached the drama of the situation, with plenty of reference to other celebrity-studded reality television house sales. Each post, each tweet, each meme magnified the story and kept the Brown family at the forefront of the public eye. Within the family, tensions were building. Kody had apparently struggled with the thought of losing the family house, while Mari Brown and the other wives concentrated on the practicalities of moving and securing their financial futures. Robyn, juggling her own needs and those of her children, liaised with legal experts to ensure compliance with the court ruling, while safeguarding her family's assets as much as possible. The court also required financial openness in the sale. Everything that was made would be recorded and disbursed as per the ruling so that no argument regarding the disbursement of funds would arise. This level of scrutiny even raised the stakes so much that the sale of the mansion became not only a matter of finance but a legal spectacle. Pundits observed that this sale would be a precedent for other celebrity families with similar disagreements, demonstrating the court's eagerness to impose severe remedies on alleged mismanagement or fraud cases. For the Brown family, the sale was an ending and a new beginning. closing a book on one of their most famous properties while resetting their public image. As the date of the mansion sale approached, the Brown family had to confront the stark reality of giving up their home. Treating a lifetime of memories like luggage was emotionally exhausting. Rooms that had laughed, family, and celebrations were now still, with their walls witness to the drama unfolding. Mari Brown was in charge of coordinating her belongings, making sure her children's things were neatly packed and relocated. For her, this wasn't a logistical exercise. It was doing everything she could to maintain a sense of normalcy against chaos. Every box loaded had a history, photos of the family, mementos, and personal reminders that attached them to a life rapidly fading away. Kody Brown, on the other hand, wrestled with the metaphoric burden of the sale. Sources within the family reported him as torn, dealing with the public revelation of intimate family secrets. The mansion, which was a symbol of status and family, now stood as a symbol of loss and court defeat. Friends and insiders have observed that Kody put in long hours contemplating, attempting to make sense of both the emotional and financial ramifications of the court's decision. Robyn Brown juggled her own tasks, tending to her children and logistics. Her actions involved coordinating with moving companies, lawyers, and estate planners to make sure the process was in accordance with court directives. In spite of the tension, Robyn held a poised and calculated demeanor, realizing that any mistake could make things worse for her family. The environment in the mansion was oppressive. Ordinary places, the kitchen, living room, and bedrooms, now seemed alien and quiet, a dramatic difference from the family life they had known before. Even the smallest objects, such as a misplaced photograph or favorite toy, were emotional reminders of what they were leaving behind. Social media enthusiasts monitored every update eagerly, many empathizing with the plight of the family, others criticizing the justice of the court's ruling. The excitement of the public added to the stress as the Browns had to deal with legal, logistic, and emotional issues under the watchful eye of millions. The family also experienced practical difficulties in relocation. Coordinating schedules, packing fragile materials, and maintaining children's routines intact needed to be planned out carefully. The entire family chipped in, citing the cooperation involved in making the move a smooth one even when under pressure. In the days ahead, the mansion would officially go on sale, and Brown's existence as they knew it would be altered irreversibly. This phase of transition was the start of a new chapter, one that would challenge their strength and redefine their family dynamic. After news of the sale of the mansion got out, the media soon picked up the story. Headlines on all major news outlets screamed of the Brown family's court loss and the involuntary sale of their favorite home. Television clips, web posts, and social media updates fueled the frenzy, each attempting to analyze the situation from various sides. Fans spilled over into comment spaces, showing a combination of shock, sympathy, and judgment. Some censured Kody for his financial choices, while others sympathized with the family for having to endure such an open and embarrassing dilemma. Reaction videos and memes spread like wildfire, drawing attention to the stark difference between the Browns' rich past and their chaotic present. Mari Brown, who was always the most socially aware of the wives, addressed fans and supporters on her personal channels. She made it clear that the family was struggling both legally and financially, but their top concern was the well-being of their children. Her words were followed by praise and criticism, with viewers arguing over whether it was ethical to defend oneself in public, while there were still active legal proceedings. Kody's public reputation, already shaky, suffered further damage. Critics and insiders pointed out that his stoicism in interviews was jarring compared to the emotional openness fans saw in home videos and private postings. They said this indicated a gap between his media image and the actual implications of his choices. Robyn was more restrained in her dealing with the media. She was quiet on most public forums, preferring to spend her time dealing with her family's internal requirements, instead of arguing online. This strategic quiet appeared to strike a chord with certain fans, who saw her as down to earth in the midst of chaos, but also infuriated others clamoring for more openness. News outlets consistently quoted the court's harsh wording in the ruling, highlighting the severity of the situation. Legal analysts broke down the case, providing analysis of the way Brown's fiscal mistakes and court battles might establish precedents for other high-profile reality television families. Public social media interaction reached new heights. Hashtags number, Sister Wives drama, and number Kody Brown Sale trended on various platforms. Videos detailing the family's moving process, courtroom action, and fan reactions racked up millions of views, making the story a big viral sensation. This media attention also ratcheted up internal pressures within the family. Each action, word, and choice seemed to have public repercussions, compelling the Browns to live life in the spotlight. Other observers said even minor disagreements were exaggerated, usually seen as proof of family discord. Even with the public scrutiny, the Browns attempted to keep things together as a family in private sessions and talks. They discussed how to keep supporting each other, coping with stress, and planning for life after the mansion. Mari and Robyn specifically addressed staying strong and remaining as one, knowing that outside opinion would dissipate, but family ties must stay strong. As the media spectacle and trial theater grabbed headlines, the true effects were most strongly felt by the Browns' kids. To many of them, the mansion was more than a house. It was stability, memories of childhood, and family identity. The compulsory sale involved parting with rooms where milestones had been marked, from birthdays and first steps to teenage achievements. Mari Brown, ever devoted to watching over the children, spearheaded protecting them from undue stress. She organized timetables, packed personal belongings with care, and urged her children to speak freely about their emotions. During family meetings, Mari reasserted that their house was not just the material mansion, it was the individuals within it and the support system they created among themselves. The older kids, having started to develop their own adult opinion, experienced mixed feelings. There were some who were resentful of Kody's handling of finances, while others were grappling with despair and uncertainty. Mari and the other wives attempted to legitimize these emotions, allowing the children enough space to mourn the loss without condoning judgment. Robyn also had a big contribution, particularly shielding her younger children from the intense public judgment. She emphasized the importance of keeping up routines and making sure that school, friends, and after-school activities went on as normally as possible. Her composed demeanor stood in contrast to the frantic media coverage and created a steady presence within the family's turmoil. Even Kody, typically depicted as unflappable, showed weakness in his fayad. When dealing with the children, private moments caught him musing over errors, accepting the implications of the court's ruling, and feeling genuine regret for the anxiety his choices had brought on. These vignettes made him human, revealing that behind the headlines, he struggled with the burden of responsibility as a parent. Counselors and child development specialists opined in public, highlighting the need for encouraging family communication during periods of significant transition. Most fans appreciated Mari and Robyn for taking proactive steps, expressing admiration for the difference between images of mayhem in the media and the thoughtful, deliberate steps that were being taken behind the scenes. The reaction of the children also influenced the way fans understood the Browns' narrative. Videos and interviews demonstrating resilience, emotional authenticity, and sibling support garnered enormous traction, since fans connected with the cross-cutting themes of loss and adjustment. For some, the Browns' experience was more than reality television drama. It was a lesson in family responsibility and adapting to change. As the family settled into temporary quarters and acclimated to life outside the mansion, they started thinking about lessons learned. Fiscal responsibility, open communication, and anticipating unexpected legal hurdles became common topics of discussion among family members. The children, who were themselves witnessing these lessons, were being molded into more resilient children. This portion of the story highlights that behind every salacious headline is a family working out real-life repercussions. It also leads to the last part, where we learn about the Browns' future plans, lessons they have picked up, and how they plan to rebuild their lives after this dramatic court ruling. With the mansion now sold and the court ruling final, the Browns were about to face a new chapter of their lives. The media and public scrutiny of the fans were still focused, but the family started planning on how to rebound, rebuild, and safeguard their relationships. Mari Brown, being always the voice of reason, pushed for the learning of lessons from past errors. She took the lead in developing a financial plan for the family, such as budgeting, legal advice, and setting measures in place to avoid future mismanagement. Her style evidenced a change from response to crisis to proactive decision, making Robyn, frequently criticized in the past, proved resilient and inspirational. She centered on her children, making sure that they felt safe even amid the turmoil. Simultaneously, she went on to redefine the role she played in the family, taking responsibilities while creating a sense of oneness between the wives. Kody, clearly chastened by the court's decision, started taking responsibility for his decisions. Private family sessions showed him willing to listen, apologize, and learn from his mistakes. Though his public reputation had been tarnished, these private moments depicted a man struggling with consequences and searching for redemption with his family. The financial aspects were also hit hard by the sale of the mansion. Luxury and keeping up appearances could no longer be the basis of decision-making. Instead, they focused on practical planning, smaller homes, sustainable investments, and ensuring that every decision prioritized the well-being of the children. Emotionally, the Browns became closer and more communicative. The shared experience of losing their home under such public scrutiny forced conversations they had previously avoided. These conversations solidified relationships, sorted out confusion, and provided a new base for a more open family relationship in the future. Fans of the show responded in a combination of shock and awe. Social media reviews changed from criticism to admiration of the resilience of the family. The Browns were admired by viewers for how they dealt with challenges, prioritizing relationships over revenge, and others pointed out that things grow and develop from the hardest experiences. The compulsory sale of Kody's mansion became more than a news headline. It became a symbolic turning point in the Browns' narrative. It was a reminder that even in reality television, behind every explosive plot twist, actual people play out complicated emotions, family obligations, and the repercussions of their actions. As the family continues rebuilding, the story turns from scandal to personal transformation, accountability, and hope. What is learned in the courtroom with budgeting and in emotional strength serves as a guide for upcoming generations of the Browns. The mansion is lost, but the lessons, the togetherness, and the family ties remain. Ultimately, the tale of Kody Brown's mansion is not one of loss. It is one of learning from failure, embracing change, and valuing what is important above all else: family responsibility and carrying on together.